Here we go.
Well, here we are, just chit-chatting between segments with the Bryant Law Center. Always something unique to talk about. But we do have a question regarding family law. We'll take your questions, too, at 1-888-208-6946. Give Joe Roark a chance to get in on the fray here. And we have a question from someone that says, our father was divorced and then passed away. We happened to find an old IRA, which we didn't know about, but it still had his ex-wife listed as the beneficiary. So our question is, does his ex-wife still get that IRA, even though the will says we get everything?
Probably so. When you have a financial account or a life insurance policy that has a designated beneficiary, that policy will be paid out according to that beneficiary designation. It is a contract that's not governed by a will, so no matter what you say in the will, if you don't change the beneficiary, that's probably what's going to happen at the end of it, unless the ex-wife would be willing to waive it. I've had one case where someone is sued to try and undo something like that, and it just as a simple matter of contract, that's just not how it goes. So if you get divorced and you have life insurance policies or financial accounts or checking accounts or anything else where there might be a designated beneficiary and you don't want it to be your now ex-spouse, you need to go ahead and change those things, because a will not get it done, and probably a marital settlement, even in your court case, will not get it done. So go ahead and get that changed, and it's just something to think about that's not really top of mind when you're going through a divorce.
We have a question from Marcy, who says, I have sole custody of our daughter, who is now 14. Can I make my ex-husband continue to pay child support after she turns 18 if she wants to go to college?
Okay, so in Kentucky, child support terminates when the child turns 18 or graduates from high school, if that's after they turn 18. And currently there is no obligation for post-majority support, that is support for a child after they're 18. And so there's no way, unless it's done by agreement, that a court can order that sort of obligation. There's just no jurisdiction for it after that. Now, that's not to say that you can't agree to do that in a negotiation or a marital settlement agreement. If you agree to it, then the court will enforce your agreement. But absent an agreement, that's not something the court can force someone to do. But bearing in mind that just because it's not part of an agreement doesn't mean that you can't provide ongoing support for your children. It's just that there's not a court order that says you have to do that moving forward.
Got about 45 seconds left, and a real quick last question. We have someone who wants to adopt a child, want to bring a child into their family, and they're wondering about working with it as an independent adoption. Somebody suggested that they do that. How's that different from working with an adoption agency?
Okay, sure. You know, a great big fan of adoption. It's a great way to build a family. So when you go through an adoption agency, kind of the primary benefit that you derive from that is they'll be familiar with the laws and regulations associated with an adoption. They'll also probably have a stronger vetting of potential birth parents, and so they might be able to shepherd you through that process a little more easily than you could if you tried to do it on your own. The downside to working with an adoption agency is that there are a lot of fees associated with that service, and so it's just a matter of whether or not you think you can handle it on your own, but be ready maybe for some pitfalls, because it's not the most intuitive process that you might ever go through. But either way is great, and if you can make that happen, it's a wonderful way to build a family and provide a nice home for a child who otherwise might not have one.
Our thanks to Mark Bryant and Joe Roark from the Bryant Law Center, locations in Paducah and Louisville. The topics today have been paraquat as well as family law/divorce. If you'd like to review either one of these segments, give us a little bit of time. We'll post them on our website under the Legal Line icon at WPSDLocal6.com.